Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me 2, the Demo More alternate routes part 6. I had goofed up and actually said last one was part 4, but it was actually part 5. And so we're just trying to speed through Eric's route to see where this will lead us. I went to the Grand Hall knowing Sarah would either be there expecting me or would arrive there shortly after me. Nevertheless, I was ready to train again with him. What I didn't expect was seeing Sarah and Diana in the room. I quickly ducked back around the corner and listened, not wanting to disturb them if they were talking.
That damn little... How dare she?
What did I do?
My lady, please, calm down.
Wait, what? What was going on?
No, Zero, it is not all right. That selfish brat had the nerve to...
What did I do? I know, it's probably maybe not me, but I think it's me.
Isaiah, please. I'm all right, I swear.
Stop talking and let me finish.
Diana's harsh tone echoed through the hall out of the doorway before a soft sigh followed. I peered around the corner and watched as Diana ran her hand along Sarah's cheek gingerly, tracing a mark on it with her fingers. Radiant purple light emanated from her hand as Diana glided it back and forth over Sarah's skin. Sarah, however, held a small smile painted over his lips as he watched her work. Can't have his pretty face be marred. Dan doesn't like that.
Damn her to the deepest pits of hell.
I'm sorry.
You're being too harsh, my lady.
Muskaya is being a selfish brat, Zero. I saved her from dying, and this is how she repays me? Ungrateful little...
I don't know who that is, but good thing it's not me, because it's usually me. I didn't understand what was happening, but I could tell there was another woman involved, someone named Buskaya. What was really odd was that Diana was acting strange. She was upset over something a girl did to Sarah. It was kind of cute, but it was not what I expected from Diana.
You're being adorable right now.
Okay, that's kind of secondhand embarrassment. Diana suddenly stopped moving and looked up at Sarah in surprise. A large blush splashed across her cheeks. Sarah, growing bolder, gently lifted a hand up between them and placed it under her chin, lifting her head slightly.
I promise that I'm all right. She barely scratched me.
Maybe she's a cat.
But she...
Loves her mistress very much, just like I do. She couldn't help it. I did try to surprise you, after all. She was startled and wanted to protect you, just like I would have.
Diana grumbled, pressing her lips into a fine line as she stared down at his chest.
She still attacked you.
Is that where that scar came from?
Which I'm sure she's very sorry for. Let it go.
Sarah moved his hand to cup Diana's cheek, rubbing his thumb along her cheekbone. Diana closed her eyes but didn't lean into his hand.
You know, you didn't yell at me for saying your name.
Oh.
My priority was not correcting you.
You were concerned about me.
Yes, I was. Why wouldn't I be?
Sarah frowned a bit as Diana opened her eyes and looked up at him, trying to appear unfazed at his teasing. However, the blush that still radiated from her face didn't lie.
Why are you concerned about me, Isaiah? You've protected me my whole life when it's my job to protect you. You didn't correct me again.
Silence followed as Sarah waited for her to answer. I was curious myself, especially since she seemed to not reciprocate Sarah's feelings. Diana closed her eyes and took a small breath before finally replying.
I care about you, Zero. You've been by my side ever since we were mere children. Every time you've gotten hurt, I
watched in awe as Diana brought her hand up and ran her fingers along the scar on his chest between the lapels of his jacket. Sarah stared at Diana as Diana traced around her face painted in sadness.
I know you vowed to protect me with your life, but that doesn't mean you must accept every wound on your body as insignificant.
Diana closed her eyes, forming a fist against Sarah's chest and clenching it hard. The scar must have been some significance to make her that upset. I bit my lower lip. I was watching this unfold, unsure what to do. Should I leave them be? Should I interrupt? I did have to train. I'm gonna let them finish. I didn't want to be rude. Whenever they had it settled, I needed to be patient. I stuck close to the wall behind me and listened further, peeking to barely see what was going on.
It still bothers me. I thought I was going to lose you that day.
But you stepped in.
I did. That was the day before you signed your life away to me. A stupid decision.
I stared wide as Sayro cupped Diana's cheek and forced her to look up at him, making her gasp and meet his gaze in surprise.
Stop. I won't let you think that my decision was a mistake.
Diana closed her eyes and leaned her cheek ever so slightly against Sayro's hand, making him visibly inhale a breath of surprise.
I don't think I will ever understand you. Even after all of these years, I still don't understand your devotion.
Diana let out a small sigh before stepping away and looking up at Sayro with a serious expression.
I should go. The boys will be waiting for me to train them, and your student will be here soon.
I've been here the whole time. Without letting Sayro reply, Diana turned and walked towards the door. I stepped away from my hiding spot, not wanting Diana to know I was eavesdropping. As I came into her view, she froze for a second before continuing on out of the room and down the hall. Sayro watched as she left, staring at the back of her head till she vanished beyond the door frame. I looked over and finally walked towards Sayro, not wanting to interrupt his gaze with my presence.
She really can't see it.
Sayro. Sayro finally turned and looked at me with his eyes drowned in hopelessness. It was almost heartbreaking to see his face so heavy and downtrodden. He seemed to have completely confided in me with his new expression, because I was positive that this was an emotion he hid very well from most everyone. Sayro finally looked to the ground.
My lady doesn't understand love. She's always been told that love for her is impossible because of who she is, no matter how much she dreams of it. Because of that, she can't recognize it, even when it's standing right in front of her.
Huh. I don't know. I'm sorry for being, nosy. There has to be a way. It was a matter of circumstance. She needed to see his love for her. If she was bred to accept that love didn't exist, then we needed to prove that what she knew was wrong. Sayro looked up at me in surprise, a small glimmer of hope rekindling at the words.
You really think that she...
I know she can. I mean, look at me. I'm going to be married to the man I love. Surely love exists, even for demons. I watched the smile as I saw happiness slowly seep back into Sayro's expression. He couldn't give up on her. He would be able to show her his love somehow. After a brief moment, Sayro let out a sigh, closing his eyes. He turned to me, and when he opened his eyes, my relentless trainer had appeared with a serious look on his face. Without having to say anything to me, he stepped back and summoned his spear. That was a fast turnaround, you were telling me. He placed a foot behind him and prepped himself into a stance. Wait, wasn't he going to materialize my weapons? How was I... Sayro suddenly charged at me, making me screech and dodge out of the way. What was he doing? Sayro?
What are you waiting for? Summon your weapons!
How am I supposed to do that? What? He wasn't being serious, right? He expected me to use magic? That was no, it's not. You used magic before. As I managed to duck and dodge his attacks, my fingertips began to tingle. Energy rushed through my veins and under my skin, tickling my nerves. It was unnatural, but somehow I felt comfortable with it. Was this truly magic at work, or was it just nervous, not wanting to be skewered? No, come on. Try. I had to try. Oh my god. No, this has issues. I can't press the button because it freezes at that point. I literally have to use the arrow keys. It was weird. I had to try. I jumped away from Sayro and quickly closed my eyes, focusing my hands. I needed my weapon. Within my hands formed a rod of lavender mist. It glistened before finally shifting and forming to the spear I was used to. Gripping it and feeling it physically in my hand, I smirked and turned back to Sayro, bracing for another attack. Parry. I smirked this time and swung my spear in front of me, swiping his spear away from my body. He was now open for me to attack. Like a repeated memory, I attacked him, clashing my weapon with his multiple times. The chime of our weapons smashing against each other rang through the room, the sound almost piercing my mind. It wasn't a noise I was ever going to be used to. I think I succeeded. Whew. Like the last time, he trained for hours on end, stopping once or twice for a break. before I could feel my body slowly getting used to the feel of swinging a weapon and defending myself. At least I would be prepared in case something were to happen. As the sun began to set and the purple sky began to darken, we stopped once again for the third and most likely final break. Sarah stretched and let out a small yawn as I did the same. I think I'm getting used to this. And a chuckle escaped Sarah's throat as he rose from one of his stretches. What stopped both of us from laughing was an echoed conversation in the hall softly reverberating into the room. Huh?
Are you sure? Another kingdom wants to join the rebellion?
It would seem so. Diana isn't happy about it, though.
Who?
Why not? The leader of that kingdom is so handsome!
My interest has been piqued.
He was indeed, but an alliance through marriage?
Never mind. Back out, right now.
Oh, come on! You can't tell me I'm the only one who can see it! I can see them being a beautiful king and queen!
I don't think she will marry him, despite it being a wise choice.
She would be stupid not to!
Well, the last time she signed her life away to marriage, her entire family was killed off while she was away. I don't think she could ever let marriage control her again.
I guess... Man, the only person she has now is that guard.
My curiosity took hold of me and caused me to hug the wall near the door. Listening in further, Sarah, however, remained where he was, looking toward the ground.
I wonder how they met. He's not an incubus, but he's mega powerful.
He is indeed very skilled. I'm slightly jealous of her for having such a devoted guard.
Devoted? He's crazy! I've heard them talk in private before. He keeps saying that he's in love with her. Love!
Faye, I guess, can't understand the concept of love.
That is very odd. However, I wouldn't be surprised if her natural aura has affected him after years of servitude. I believe he's been with her since they were children, so that's over 100 years of protecting her and being close.
Yeah, he's probably just enthralled by her. She enthralls everyone she meets.
A pure-blooded succubus will do that. At least she's the only pure-blooded demon of Lilith in the world.
And you're forgetting Matthew's mother.
That we know of at least.
The conversation trailed off as the pair moved away from the room, and I looked back at Sarah, seeing him grip his spear and grit his teeth. He didn't seem to like what Rabbit and Faye had to say. Sarah? Are you okay? Sarah looked up at me, a dull glaze over his eyes. From the expression on his face, I could tell that he had heard things like this before, but it still seemed to affect him emotionally. I frowned and walked over to him as he shook his head.
What they said about her marriage was true. When the Demon Lord's heirs left the demon world, my lady left to go after them. However, while she was gone, the Demon Lord attacked this castle.
I watched as Sarah gripped his spear even tighter than before, shutting his eyes and turning his head away from me, almost in shame.
The Demon Lord's henchmen, the imp demons who brought you here, infiltrated our defenses and were able to reach the heart of the castle, where my lady's parents and unborn baby sister were hiding. Through some form of blood magic, they were able to break through the protective barriers around the room and...
He didn't need to explain. The heavy weight in my gut acknowledged that what he was saying was going. Before he could speak it, I looked to the floor, suddenly feeling very sorry for Diana. She lost her entire family while she had been in the human world, trying to save them. It was too cruel. Sarah let out a shaky sigh before he looked back up to me.
When my lady returned, she vowed to seek vengeance and destroy the Demon Lord's tyranny. She formed the rebellion, and now, here we are, readying ourselves for the final battle. Everyone only sees the hard-faced, cutthroat queen of the rebellion when they look at her, as if she were unable to love or care.
Sarah's hand reached up for his collar where a beautiful purple rose charm hung. His fingers ran over the surface as he smiled to himself.
However, Isaiah is still the sweet and innocent girl I grew up with. She's still the woman who saved me and protected me from a fate worse than death. I know deep down that the love I feel for her is pure and true. I vowed to protect her with my life, and I will forever stand by that promise. It's just difficult to hope that one day things may change, and that the one you love may turn around and say they love you in return.
Is there any way to prove your love for her? Sarah didn't reply. He looked at me deep in thought before shaking his head. I thought I saw a glimmer of hope, but he rid himself of whatever thought he had been focusing on.
Never mind that. We need to focus. Let's continue.
I'm so glad I'm making the right choices. I nodded, taking up my weapon again and preparing for a final sparring match. The day at last ended, and I wound up slowly walking towards my room. I was tired and ready to hit the pillow, but as I entered, I stared at who was there waiting for me. Wait, how long? Oh, it's 16 minutes, not that bad. Sarah? What? Why was Sarah here? I had just finished training with him. This made absolutely no sense, but yet here he was, staring hard at me as if I had done something wrong.
Do you know what a stone destiny is?
A stone destiny? I had never heard of such a thing. Did it have something to do with the angels? I tilted my head, making Sarah sigh and lower his head.
A stone destiny binds a person's entire life towards a specific direction. It could be for good, it could be for evil. However, when a stone destiny is set, almost nothing can stop it from taking its course.
Why are you bringing this up? Sarah looked up at me and closed his eyes, resolving and explaining to me whatever was on his mind. What he told me, however, shocked me.
I believe that your fiancé is locked in a stone destiny.
What? That made no sense. Jane was locked in a stone destiny. What did this have to do with anything? Where did this come from? As Thayer watched my expression, he continued to speak.
There is only one way to forge a stone destiny, by making a deal with angels. If someone is willing to give angels something worthy, the angels can set and seal someone's life as if in stone. If anything threatens to destroy that destiny, the angels step in.
That was it. That was why the angels were after me. If James was tied to a stone destiny, then the only reason they were attacking me was because I was in the way of his fate. How could that be, though? What was his destiny? To become the next demon lord? Something in my mind clicked at the thought. Of course. That had to be it. I had taken James away from his destiny and was about to marry him. Of course it would be after me. I sat on my bed, shocked and astonished at the news. I felt somewhat relieved that James and I had found a way to stop them, but I still felt the weight of the new information sinking into my thoughts. Sarah stepped towards the door and closed it, looking to me.
Breaking a stone destiny is nearly impossible. Nearly.
I looked up at him, anxiousness growing as he repeated the word. There is a way to fix this and set James free? Then how can we set him free from it?
By giving him enough energy to do so himself.
I stared. It made sense, but giving him energy meant probably sleeping with him. I didn't have much of a problem with it, but sex wasn't something I wanted to do just because it had to be done. It was better to make love when the people involved were in the mood to do so rather than because they had to. Sarah looked back to the door.
He is a powerful incubus, but he isn't powerful enough to break through his destiny unless you help him.
Before he left, however, I stopped him. Something seemed off with Sarah being the one to tell me. Sarah, why are you telling me instead of Diana telling me?
She isn't aware of it. Not many demons know of it or even believe it to be an actual occurrence.
Then how do you know about it? Sarah seemed to stand still, letting silence linger in the air. The room began to feel off as Sarah stood in his place. I had felt this feeling before, but I couldn't pin down where. Finally, Sarah slowly turned his head to me, causing me to slightly gasp at what was revealed. In his gold eyes were crosses glowing a dark black where his pupils were. The feeling of feathers once again danced around me, causing me to quiver slightly.
Does that answer your question?
Hey, I'm trying to help you here. No need to be aggressive. I nodded slowly but frightfully. Sarah was an angel? How? He looked like a demon. No one mentioned him being anything close to an angel other than him using holy magic. Did Diana not know either? How was this hidden? Sarah closed his eyes and relaxed a bit as he pressed his lips into a fine line.
I love my lady. I would follow her to the ends of the 5 worlds if she demanded it of me. To see the man she was bound to wed here, locked by a destiny that would have taken my love away long ago. It's maddening. The longer he stays here, the more dangerous his destiny becomes. I've seen visions of what would come to pass if his destiny is fulfilled, and I will do everything to make sure that doesn't happen.
I could see the jealousy in Zero's eyes once again. Something burned heavily in Zero's gaze, and he didn't dare fade away as he gripped his spear in a white-knuckled grip.
My lady is a queen deserving of the world, not a harem girl for him to ravage in a cage.
I remember distinctly you being kind of something similar when we were trying to conquer Diana's route, you know, keeping her in a cage and all that stuff. Memories of the nightmare I had long ago flickered in my head. Diana had been in a cage beside me. Did Sarah see the same thing? I didn't get the chance to ask. Sarah relaxed a bit and slightly glared at me. I could tell he was holding back some form of intimidation as he was my trainer, but the threat he spoke still echoed in my ears.
Do not speak of what I am to anyone, or I will set your destiny to die at your husband's hand.
Wow. Without letting me reply, Sarah turned and left the room, leaving me alone to absorb what had happened. I felt the air in the room slowly drift back into normal, but I felt nowhere close to it. How was this happening? Why was this happening? Everything began to clash in my head, causing to pound heavily in confusion and stress. My thoughts were interrupted at the door opened again, revealing James.
Love? Are you alright?
No. James. Shake off your thoughts. Now was not the time to think about trying to put the moves on him. There were other things I needed to think about. However, the thought of giving him energy, I wasn't sure how to do that. I shook my head. I would think on it later. Sorry, I had a lot on my mind. James nodded and sat down beside me.
Is there any way I can help ease your mind?
I shook my head. I had to sit down and figure everything out on my own first before I allowed him to help. James kissed my head and rubbed my shoulder comfortingly.
Alright. I love you.
Oh, okay. I love you too. We went to bed that night in each other's arms, enveloped by the peaceful dark of slumber. To my surprise, no nightmares came that night. I woke up that morning by myself, alone in bed. James was nowhere to be found, but I had to assume he was out training. We were getting closer and closer to the day where we were going to be in battle with the Demon Lord, so it made sense for him to be on top of his training. However, I couldn't exactly stop the feeling of loneliness rushing through me. I at least wanted to see him off, but I had to understand that this was preparation for war. The reward was going home after all. I stretched and rubbed my neck, massaging out the tired soreness from sleep in my body. Day 5 of the Demon World. Had it really been that long? I wanted to imagine like a vacation, but the situation was the polar opposite. This was a week away from my normalcy, despite it being barely normal in the first place. Besides, I was marrying a demon. There was nothing normal about that. How much time had gone by in the human world? Were people worried about me by now? Questions plagued my mind for a brief moment before I let out a sigh of defeat. I guess I'll figure it out when I get home, whenever that is.
Don't worry, darling. You'll be home soon enough.
Jeez, knock first? I turned my head to see Diana standing by the door with a plate of warm pancakes. I could never figure out how Diana managed to make them, but staring at the plate made my mouth water.
Something warm. Here.
Diana walked over and handed me the plate and utensils to eat with. I didn't even ask to start eating. The first bite was heavenly, and the expression on my face apparently made Diana chuckle.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
I blushed and swallowed the bite full of my mouth before looking up at Diana. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Diana chuckled as I continued to eat happily. As a thought crossed my mind, I couldn't help but look up and observe Diana as I ate what she made for me. Diana was really doing a lot to help me get home on top of having war to deal with. I could tell that she had her reasons for doing so, but it seemed like there was a lot of work she had to do, and I felt a little sorry for her. Still, I was thankful that she was willing to help me leave this world for my own. Diana smiled a bit before looking away and sighing. What was on her mind?
Dear, may I ask you something?
Sure. What was Diana curious about? Diana turned her head to me and stared with a blank expression. I was a little concerned as to why I received such a stare, but I mentally shook it off.
Have you truly dealt with the angel problem? I haven't heard any word from them since last night, so I assume you have. But I need to be sure.
I stared at her for a moment, taking in her question. I really wasn't sure how to answer because it wasn't clear if we managed to get away from the angel's sights or not. They didn't invade my dreams last night, that was for sure. But could that even be considered taking care of the problem? I took a breath before answering, going with my gut. I don't know. I truly didn't know. All I knew was that Sarah told me, and I knew better than to tell Diana that just from what Sarah warned me about. Diana's eyebrows furrowed, but she nodded.
I see.
Diana stared at me, digging into my gaze to try and find some sort of other answers in my eyes. However, I remained steadfast. I didn't want to worry her anymore if James and I could handle it on our own. According to Sarah, we could. Diana sighed before turning to leave.
All right. May today go smoothly.
I nodded as she left. I hoped today would go smoothly as well. Another round of surprises would kill me. As I arrived in the hall for training, I was surprised to see Diana in the room instead of Sarah. Diana? Diana turned to me and crossed her arms, taking in my form.
You will be training with me today. I apologize for Sarah's absence.
What do you mean? Where is Sarah?
He asked to train on his own for the day. As he will be in the front lines of the siege, I granted him permission.
Oh, okay. I pursed my lips together in a fine line, but nodded. If he was charging at the front, then it made sense that he'd want to take a day and work on himself. I held my hand out and summoned my weapon, ready to fight the Queen of the Rebellion head on. Alright, then don't hold back. Diana nodded and took her stance, summoning her saber and bringing it back behind her. I had to use this new training partner as a new experience. Not everyone would fight like Sarah, so this was a good challenge for me. Oh no, I gotta prepare myself. Fighting with Diana was no easy task. She was quick and thought 10 steps ahead of me, catching me off guard at some point. Still, I could tell that she was putting up a good fight with my defense. What surprised me was how time passed by without me even noticing it. The more I clashed with Diana, the more ignorant I became of the sky's eventual descent from light purple to dark orange. Soon enough, our training had ended. I panted out of breath, but surprisingly still on my feet. I didn't understand how or why, but I could only assume that I was getting better, which was a good thing. Diana smirked as she relaxed, stretching her back and making her saber vanish.
I will admit, dear, you've done well for just a handful of days.
I grinned, happy to hear that I had impressed Diana with my skills. I only trained for a couple of days but it showed some great improvement. Maybe the demon world was aiding me in becoming a stronger person. Thank you, Diana. Diana nodded before walking to the exit of the room.
Now, please excuse me. I must see to the boys. You are free to come with if you'd like.
I declined and left the room as well, towards the opposite direction, feeling my bed calling to me. Besides, I didn't want to be a distraction. As I was heading to my room, I passed by a door that was only open a small crack, overhearing a quiet conversation.
This idea is idiotic, guard. Leaving during a war could be considered treason, and you would be abandoning your duties to your mistress.
I know that, but...
I don't know. And please don't die. Please don't let me die. Please don't let me lose my trainer. I stopped walking and peered inside, wanting to see what was going on. Sarah was standing steadfast by the large fireplace as Shadow, arrogant as ever, loomed over the small table that was covered in maps and books.
Do you really think a quest like this is beneficial to the war? All it would do is leave us with one less powerful ally for a significant amount of time.
I would not be gone long. I'd research this.
Is he gonna try to help and get that thing so he can prove his love to Diana?
Yes, I've researched this route multiple times. You've already spouted that more times than I care to appreciate. Regardless, even if things did go your way, and you journey there and back without some form of incident, you would turn up a day before the siege. Your mistress will not likely forgive your absence.
But I have a feeling that this will be worth that absence. If I can do this, if I can prove that my love for her is real.
Please, Shadow, have a heart. You don't have a heart.
You are having delusions of grandeur. Love does not exist for us demons. This quest is folly.
I glared at Shadow. Why was he being such an ass? Sarah, however, looked to his feet, gritting his teeth and shutting his eyes.
You came here and asked for my counsel, guard. I am merely telling you the truth of the matter. Whatever hope that human placed in your mind is illogical, and only a detriment to our cause. I hope you take my words into careful consideration. Nothing fruitful will come from this journey you wish to undertake.
As he finished speaking, Shadow faded into a black shadow on the ground and slipped into the dark corner of the library, vanishing from sight completely. Sarah growled beneath his gritted teeth and slammed his fist against the mantle behind him, forming a large crack in the stone.
Damn it!
You can do it anyways. I'm gonna enter the room. Shadow was wrong. Whatever Sarah wanted to do to prove his love for Diana was worth it. I felt my heart agree with my thoughts with a firm thump in my chest. My duty is to my heart. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door and entered the room. Sarah looked up at me with a startled gaze when he heard the door creak as it opened.
Oh!
Sarah looked down at the table, embarrassed, while he rubbed the back of his neck.
How long were you there?
Long enough to hear what Shadow said about me. With a frown, Sarah turned his gaze to his feet. As I stepped further into the room, he let out a sigh.
I've been thinking a lot about what we've talked about. You asked me if there was a way to prove my love to Isaiah. Well, there is a way.
Really? Sarah nodded before ushering me over to the table. I walked over and looked at what Sarah wanted to show me. A large set of maps, all pointing to a single area of the abyssal plains near the ocean.
There's a legend that has been passed around the demon world for eons. The Golden Rose. It said that if someone finds its hiding place and proves that the love in their heart is real, the rose will blossom and become physical proof of their true love.
Is this legend true?
No one can say for sure. No one has ever found it, yet the legend exists, so it must have some form of merit. I've tried for years to find its location, and now I have.
Sarah pointed at a hand-drawn circle on the map and glided his finger along the map towards the area where the rose was said to be.
It would only take me 2 days to get there and to return. If the story is true, then I'm positive I can find it and bring it back to Isaiah as proof of my love.
As Sarah finished, the smile darkened to a sad grimace.
However, I have been advised against this journey, and for good reason. I would be abandoning my lady days before the final battle, and that alone could be considered treason. Even more so, would she forgive me for leaving at such a crucial time?
I looked at Sarah's face, seeing the conflicting emotions running through his eyes as he stared at the maps in front of us. Was it really worth it?
Still, this may be my only chance to do this. When we win this war, my lady will require me to be by her side more so than ever. I must be there to support her at all times when she rebuilds this broken world, but I would lose the chance to prove my love to her.
I didn't know what to say in response. While I wanted him to do what he felt was right, there were so many things that could go wrong. What if the legend was false? He would be gone for nothing and he would come back empty-handed. What if something happened while he was away? He wouldn't be able to return in time to help. Or what if something happened to him on his journey? He wasn't invincible. I closed my eyes trying to figure out what to say to him. When I realized what I wanted to say, I spoke up. We should go. Sarah really loved Diane. Oh, achievement unlocked, the Golden Rose. It was as plain as day, and if she wasn't persuaded yet from his words and dedication, this journey would convince her. It was worth the risk. He really was in love with her. She was strong enough to handle things on her own while Sarah was away. Sarah looked to me in surprise as I smiled at him. If this will prove your love to her, then you should find the rose and give it to her. Whatever the risk is, if you believe it's worth it, then do it. Something in Sarah's eyes glistened as if a spark had been ignited, and the hope in his heart began to burn with joy. A smile grew on his face as he nodded, now determined.
You're right. I'll leave tonight and come back with the rose, even if it's the last thing I do.
I grinned widely. I was happy for him. To see Sarah so determined to prove his love filled my soul with joy. As he stepped towards me, I watched as he wrapped his arms around me, giving me a friendly hug. Aww.
Thank you for your help. I won't ever forget this.
You got this. I smiled and hugged him back, patting his back. At my words, he squeezed me tighter before letting me go. Like the older brother I never had. Sarah nodded to me before rushing out of the library, but more likely to set off on his journey as quickly as possible. He needed all the time he could get. I, however, felt my heart giving an approving thud in my chest. I had done the right thing. It raised a question, however. Fine. Would I have done the same for the one I love? After a brief moment, I nodded to myself. Yes, I would have. I left the library and headed towards my room, now filled with determination of my own. And this is where I'm gonna end it. I'm playing Cupid. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!